In the last part, Javier gets the funds from the Queen and uses them to cure Lloyd. The base of the Honey apartment building was completed. Lloyd uses his simulation skill and simulates all types of natural disasters, even meteor strikes. He was really happy as he simulated the destruction. Lloyd asks Javier why he was looking at him like that. Javier tells him that he looked like a crazy conman just now, and tells him that Corgidus and the 30 dwarf artisans have arrived. Lloyd goes to greet them and shows the blueprint. Lloyd tells him that he knew that he should first welcome him and greet him, but the best way to welcome a builder master is to show the blueprints of the machines he never saw. Corgidus accepts it and moves forward to his workplace. Lloyd and Javier used the mana blast to dig the base of the buildings. Here, the construction of the cement mixer truck was completed, and Padong was used as the engine. The orcs worked out with the help of iron rods to make the rebar for the cement. Lloyd explains the steps to Sir Byron and tells him to note down everything. Biam was used as a crane to transfer heavy materials, and his motivation was Bangul, who cheered him as he helped Lloyd. Now, all the basic construction was over. Lloyd asked Sir Byron to look after the construction, as he had some other important work to do. He explained to him that the main problem here will be to install the heating system. His idea was to use steam, but as the height increases, the higher levels did not have much heat. Lloyd tried to figure it out and finally remembers the chapter in which Javier fights a dragon. The dragon attacks him with fire breath, but Javier was unharmed as he was wearing armor made from the hardened sap of the Alencia tree, the strongest insulating material in this world. And now, Lloyd and Javier are on the way to get the insulation. Javier asks Lloyd how far are they supposed to go in search of the materials. Lloyd tells him that they were heading to the Everglow forest where the elves live, and there they will extract the Alencia tree's sap. Javier turns back and starts to move to the barony. Lloyd asks him where was he going, and Javier tells him that there is no way that they can negotiate with the elves as they really hate humans. Lloyd remembers the scene where Javier flirted with the elf and got the armor as a gift. Lloyd tells him that he will not force on him and tells him to return as he will march ahead without his escort knight. Javier had no choice but to follow him. He tells Lloyd that the elves were not that easy to communicate with, and asks him how will he persuade them. Lloyd tells him that he does not persuade someone for something, he likes to steal it from them. Javier was agitated by this and really wanted to beat him to death. As they marched ahead, they were now in the Everglow forest. Javier elegantly sneezes, and Lloyd asks him what did he do right now. Javier tells him that everything he does looks cool as he has a handsome face, and Lloyd will not relate to that. Lloyd was depressed, and upon that, the screen laughs at him. Lloyd was agitated and Javier giggles elegantly. Lloyd asks him what was funny, and Javier tells him that he can use his skill to change the topic as he got nothing to talk about his face. Lloyd had enough of this and starts to attack Javier, but all his punches were easily blocked by him. Lloyd was exhausted and tells him to stop playing around and let's get serious. As they move ahead, they are interrupted by an army of elves. Lloyd asks them how they noticed them so quickly. One of the elves tells them to be quiet and die. Javier tells them this is not good, and Lloyd tells him that things have just progressed faster. The elves started to shoot arrows at them. Javier draws the aura sword and was able to block all the attacks. The elf was shocked as she realized that they are against the sword master. Lloyd orders Javier to proceed as per the plan and meet him at the place, and both of them split up. The elf orders them to go behind the handsome man and leave the ugly man as he was just a gopher, and Lloyd was disturbed. Javier ran and dodged the arrows. As he did so, he realized that the elves are walking on the leaves, and remember what Lloyd told him about the elves. As Javier was going to get shot by the elf, he quickly gets to the tree as he knew that they won't hurt the trees. But an arrow was shot from behind and he has no option but to leave the place. He runs and dodged all the attacks. As he heads further, he realized that the elves are intentionally driving him somewhere. We see Lloyd was at the Elysia tree, and he starts to dig up a tunnel to the base of the tree. As Javier distracted them, he realized that one of the elves was missing and thought that it must have gone before Lloyd. He stops at the lake and realized that they were driving him to this point so he cannot use the plants to save himself. All the elves swarm him and shot hundreds of arrows at him. Javier uses his aura sword and fused it with water and was able to deflect all the arrows. The elves were shocked and believed that they might get killed by that kind of power, But the leader calms them down and tells them he might be a sword master, but they have Malika. And we see a huge figure appear behind Javier. As it closes by, we see the huge elf Malika. She puts her bow down and gets ready to shoot a huge arrow at Javier. Javier was ready. But as soon the giant elf released the arrow, Javier was swept away due to the impact. Javier was shocked as she was able to sweep Javier just by using her raw strength alone. Javier remembered that if he hurt even one of the elves, then all the elves in the world will gather together and seek revenge. The elves were preparing for another attack. Javier too uses his aura sword and realizes that it was no time to join up with Lloyd. Javier was confused as he have to help Lloyd and also not hurt any of the elves in the process. He tries to keep up with the elves and deflects all the arrows. But as Malika shot her humongous arrow, Javier uses the aura sword to change the direction of the arrow and block both arrows. Here, Lloyd dug a tunnel and was gathering the insulation material. As he was doing his work, he was approached by the elves. They pointed the arrows at him and told him to surrender. Lloyd tries to trick him, but the elves warn him if he moves he will be pierced full of holes. Lloyd was already having a plan in his mind. He threatens them that he will burn the plant if they tried to stop him. They had no chance but to move away. The elf tried to make him agitated by saying bad stuff about him, and said that he was a villain who is least popular with women. Lloyd was depressed and agitated. He puts the flames near the plant and tells them to back off. They have no option but to back off. The elf tells him that they can solve this by talking. Lloyd tries to eat the plant and warns them. They all get out of the tunnel, and Lloyd knew that if he left off the plant he will be killed instantly. One of the elves was not feeling well, and soon the other one was also not. And the leader was hungry too. All three of them get on the ground. Lloyd notices something was off and realizes that there is not a single bird in such a huge forest. Also, there are no animals present here. He thinks that this was the result due to the monster dominoes, so all the animals have moved further in the west. And as the elves are strictly carnivorous, but they do not have animals to hunt here. Here, Javier was trying to keep up with the elves and realized that they are getting tired. He rushed to the elves and the elf Malika also attacks him. Javier was able to dodge the arrow, but he was scratched in his face. He rushed forward, but the elves were too hungry to move. Malika jumps in to stop Javier from going any further and was able to corner him. She pounced on him with the arrow, but her attack was easily dodged by Javier. And a fight broke about between them. Javier jumps up and uses the same footwork that the elves used. The elves were shocked to see him master the skill in such a short span of time. They tried to keep up with Javier and attacked him with arrows. Javier marched forward and finally sees Elenigia tree and calls out for Lloyd. Here, Lloyd was having a good time with the elves. As Javier reached the spot, he was shocked to see Lloyd eating pork with the elves. Lloyd asks him to join them. Javier joins in and all of them waited for the pork to be cooked. The tribe's chief Muira greets him and asks Lloyd if there was space for one more person. Lloyd confirms her. And she calls out for Malika as she was watching them from afar. Malika joins them and she also waited for the pork to be cooked. Lloyd offers them and tells them they can have whatever they want to eat. The other elves saw them from some distance and were going to attack them, but they were hypnotized due to the cooking pork smell. Lloyd blackmails the elf and tells her to think about the young elves, also the elderly elves who must be starving right now, and blackmails all of them. Lloyd offers to make a deal with them. The elf tries to resist, but Lloyd blackmails her even more. Lloyd explains to her that he will provide unlimited pork meat and coal to cook the meat. Also, he will provide them with a refrigerator to preserve the meat from spoiling. The elf asks him what he needs in return. Lloyd explains the condition and tells her that she just needs the sap of Valencia once a month, and assures her that he will make sure to extract those sap without hurting the tree. Also, he will need around 100 elves to transport the meat from the barony to the forest, and others will help in building the house. The other elves tell the leader to ignore the deal as humans are full of lies. The leader refused the deal and tells him that she only makes deals with a human who is a friend. Lloyd was confused and starts to think about how to overcome this obstacle. Lloyd had a plan and takes out the special meat from the bag. The elf was surprised to see it as she never saw any meat of that color. Lloyd used his cooking skills and made it even more delicious. All the elves were shocked to eat it, and the leader accepts the deal, but her only condition was to be fed this miracle meat, and the elves, who didn't have any contact with other tribes for 500 years, signed a business agreement with the humans of the Frontera barony. Javier was frustrated as he had to fight the elves even though it could have been easily taken care of with meat. All the townspeople were surprised to see the elves and thought that at this rate Lloyd might just bring dragon to the barony. The elves saw the wood used all around the barony. Lloyd explains that everyone has different values and she must not think of it that much. Now that the insulation was brought for the construction, he has to build the apartments as soon as possible or else the water will start to freeze, and later in the summer, the water will unfreeze, and then the water will become impure and the building could fall. So now the main mission is to make the apartments as soon as possible. Lloyd figures it out, and now rest assured as the elves were very fast in their work. They were all motivated and did things even faster to eat the miracle meat as soon as possible. As the first winter came, construction for apartment buildings 101 and 102 was completed. After testing some variations, he came up with an insulating paste and applied it to the heater. Lloyd orders them to start the boiler, and as the boiler heated up, a great success as the heater was working smoothly. Lloyd orders everyone to get the refugees to move in as soon as possible. Lloyd and Javier were on the way to the Baron's mansion, and they heard the trumpet at a distance. Javier told him that it was the royal messenger. The royal messenger gives a very flashy pose and started to read the letter written by the queen. The queen was impressed by the work of the Baron, and so from that moment onwards the barony is going to be promoted to a county. The royal messenger bows in front of them and congratulates them. Both the Baron and Baroness were in tears of joy and Lloyd was proud of his achievement. The royal messenger reads the letter further and informs them that all the construction budget and the materials needed will all be provided by the imperial family for the next 10 years, and lastly they will be exempted from paying the taxes to the imperial family for the next 20 years. Lloyd was really happy and starts to dance and praise the queen. Lloyd tells Javier that they need to head to the village as soon as possible, and we see that they have erected a statue of the queen and danced around it praising the majesty. The royal messenger was shocked to see such preparations. As he reached the royal capital he informs the queen. The queen gets embarrassed and orders him to not do such things. Here, we see Lacona has arrived in the county and is in front of the count. The count tells him to not be so formal with him. Lacona remembers how he used to make fun of the count when he was just a poor baron, and now thinks of using his kind behavior to get back his money. The count tells him that he had a request, and asks him if there are any free engineers, as there was a shortage in the county. Lacona asks him how much he needs. The count hesitates and tells him that they will need a huge number of engineers for this work, and it will be too big for him to handle. Lacona bows down and requested him to tell how many engineers he needs as he was willing to send all of them. The count uses the same trick as Lloyd, and Lacona has no choice but to get extorted again by the Frontera family. Sir Byron tells Lloyd that all the rooms in apartment buildings 101 and 102 are full, and the system rewards him with sweet RP points. Lloyd goes in to check the people and acts very friendly with them. Javier knew that something was going to happen. The soldiers set up a table, and Lloyd tells everyone that now it was time for them to pay up their debts by signing the contract for labor. Everybody was confused, and Lloyd tells them with an evil face that nothing's free forever, and all the people were scared. Javier knew that, but he was skeptical about what was the right thing to do now. One of the refugees approached Lloyd and asks him if he signed the contract and will he get a job. Lloyd tells him that he will of course have a job, also he will be paid his salary too. But the moment he received his first salary they will have to buy the food and firewood with their own money. The villager was willing to accept this as he wanted to feed his family through his hard work and not rely on others' goodwill. Another woman gets to Lloyd and asks him if she can sign up as well. Lloyd tells her that there is no discrimination against gender here, and she can sign up as well. And soon after all the refugees lined up to sign the contract, Lloyd tells them they are going to work on the terraced farmland development project which will provide enough food for everyone in the county. Lloyd thinks of using Bangul for construction, but he gets beat up by Byung as Bangul was exhausted due to the apartment construction. At the night, Lloyd opens the summon creature option and is ready to summon a new creature. Lloyd thinks that the system is always on his side as it always helped him by giving him a suitable creature. He was excited and rushed to press the button. As he pressed the button, the gears started to move to make some nasty noises. And after some time, it expands and became very huge. And a huge blast comes out of it. He was confused and the system tells him that it was a dud this time. Lloyd was agitated and asked the system if he was not on his side. The system tells him that it was on nobody's side. Lloyd asks him then why it always gives him suitable creatures as per his needs. The system starts to laugh and tells him that he had no idea, and tells him that gambling is about novice wins, and then making them expect another win. Lloyd was agitated and thought the system is a total fraud. The system tells him that he might get something good in the next summon. Lloyd clicks the button and one more time a huge blast took place. Lloyd was frustrated and tries to punch the screen, but it was able to smoothly dodge the punches and tells him he must try once more. Lloyd clicks the button and runs away as the gears appear, as he thought the blast will take place once again. But this time a huge beast comes out of the portal and started to chase Lloyd. Lloyd runs away and gets Javier to help him to get rid of the monster. Javier uses his aura sword and was able to get rid of the huge monster. Lloyd was exhausted and was sitting on the ground. The system tells him that he has achieved a hidden requirement and gets to choose a summoned creature skill. Lloyd was shocked to see a huge choice list, and the system tells him that he can choose the list of skills that can be chosen by him. Lloyd was agitated to see as there were only useless skills, but he soon finds a useful one, a spiderweb, and thinks that it could be used for the construction. And Lloyd uses his skill and clicks the button, and the gears appear once more. And a huge light fills the room. It was daytime. Javier woke up and thought that he had some kind of strange dream. In the countryside, all the villagers were working hard, and they saw there was something in the sky. As it got closer, they are shocked to see that Lloyd was riding a new summon. As he moved through the villagers, all of them praised him. And Lloyd strikes a great pose. And Lloyd thinks that he has received a jackpot, as it was able to make spiderwebs, but it can also fly high in the sky, and thinks that it will play a crucial role in the construction. The bird goes uncontrollably and landed on the ground and throws Lloyd on the ground. The bird was too lazy and then it sleep on the tree. Lloyd was confused and tries to figure out how can he make it work. That's it for today, guys.